Welcome, Jason Gutsell, my guest today. How are you doing?
Very well, thanks, Monica. How are you doing?
Awesome. Good, thank you. Jason is tuning in from UK. So I think we're about 6 hours difference.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I
Calculated.
think 6 pounds difference. I'm in the northeast of England, so I'll just introduce myself, anyways.
Yeah.
My name's Jason Gutsell, aka the fasting coach on Instagram, and I'm from the northeast of England. I've always, for as long as I can remember, I've had a passion for health, well-being, fitness, all around. I'm also a calisthenics athlete, so I train and compete in calisthenics. Um, and yeah, I got into fasting probably around 12 years ago now. And it was just, I was as I said, I'm interested in health, well-being, fitness. Back then I was just I've been into the gym and fitness for a lot of years, and I would read up on anything, on dieting, different ways of exercising, all different sorts of things. And then it was actually a health coach who's local to me. He's about half an hour away from me, in the next town over. He mentioned something about fasting many years ago, and it was very new to me because I was like, I knew what fasting was, but I thought it was just done in religions and stuff. And then when he started talking about it, and then I seen how like I value I value like
His opinion.
his opinion and everything, and his expertise in other areas of nutrition and the gym and stuff. And I was just like, well, I'm not one to just say, no, you can't do that, it doesn't work. Or I'm quite open. I'm open for trying things and understanding that there's more than one way to do things. But back then I was very much in the mindset that you need to eat every 2 or 3 hours. You want to keep your metabolism going. I don't want to burn any muscle and all these kind of things. So I literally just fasted once per week, and it was for 16 hours. And it was usually on a Friday. I would go from the Friday from my last meal till like later on the Saturday morning after the gym. It was just once a week, and I was like, I was so surprised on how that made me feel, bearing in mind that I was like obsessed with, you've got to be eating every 2 hours, you've got to be doing this. And then I kind of just practiced it once a week for a while. Actually, didn't think not much of it. And then when I was working, I worked away for a lot of years and worked in IT. But I had a job. I was working for a company where we would. I was basically working for a cement company, but I was basically going to their sites, which was like cement plants, quarries, like very remote locations, and all I would do was have to swap out one computer, one printer. Then I would be driving another 4 hours to the next place, do the same thing again. And I noticed at the time that I was eating on the road. I was just like, stopping at fuel station, having a sandwich or something, and I could just feel my stomach. I could just feel I was sat I was sat driving for 8 hours of the day, and I could just feel it. It was just like kind of getting pudgy and growing, and I was feeling lethargic. And then I thought, I wonder, maybe I should implement some of the fasting back into my lifestyle, but not just once a week, but actually try and do this a little bit more, because I felt like I was just sitting there on the road all day. And so I said, okay, I'm just going to try and skip breakfast like I usually did, and then so we skip breakfast and just eat a small meal at like 12 o'clock, and then have my big size meal kind of on the evening. And I felt that for me, when I was doing that job, just it flowed really well. I felt great, and this was the first time that I'd actually started implementing it more than like once a week. And so as I started doing that and realized that I could still keep in shape, I could still eat enough food to maintain my muscle mass, I preferred that way of doing things, because I didn't have to get up and make
Yeah, it was
breakfast.
just easier. Yeah.
So easy,
Yeah.
just get up, get ready, not thinking about it, and then get to work, do my work. Before I know it, was 12 o'clock, and I'll have my first small meal. And I honestly, I felt like I had more energy, more focus, like a lot of benefits. And
So
then,
let me ask you this.
uh,
So when you started fasting like 12 years ago, were you into like bodybuilding? Were you lifting
yeah,
and doing all the, yeah, because that's very rare. Like most of the like bodybuilders, it is like a big no-no. Because I was in that phase too, like eating literally every 3 hours. I would have my alarm clock set up to like eat my next meal, like 5-6 meals a day. And so it's very unusual for, someone that's lifting weights to be fasting. And like in a bodybuilding community, even now, it's like a no-no.
It is, and
Yeah.
it's just because of programming, really. Like,
Mhm.
we've been told, like, since you were born, pretty much,
Yeah.
you're told, feed your baby every couple of hours, make sure that wake them up for the feed, like actually wake them up to eat or
Yeah.
whatever. And then we're being told that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, which you'll know was made up by Kellogg's. Then we've got that, but I only found this
Yeah.
out like 5 years ago, that was made up. And it's like, when you get told this by your parents, where they've been told
Mhm.
by their, and it only takes one generation for something to become normal. So if you get told that, right, it's normal to eat 5-6 meals a day, it's normal to just wake up and you're supposed to eat your breakfast because it is the most important meal, and you just grow up and you just think, well, this is just the way it is. This is what
Mhm.
everybody does, and I don't know anything else. But it's actually, when you think about it logically, and we go back past, like, I don't know, let's say before the 60s to the 70s, where most people would have been fasting for 16 hours of the day, because
Yeah.
you weren't having snacks.
Yeah.
You were lucky if you ate more than twice per day. You would have been lucky. If you ate 3 times a day, you were probably had a wealthy family.
Mhm.
So it's just kind of understanding, really, that what you've been taught growing up isn't always exactly.
Yeah, we get
It,
conditioned. Our mind gets so conditioned by the society, that's the way it is. But like you're right, like just looking back in the 60s, or even like the World War II, World War I, people went to war. Like there wasn't always food available. There was winter, people had to go hunt and get food. There wasn't always, you didn't just go to a supermarket that was open 24 hours and just get like fresh fruit. Like now we have it available year round, but back then, if it didn't grow, you couldn't, hunt. You just didn't eat. Sometimes it was days before you actually had food. And now the society, again, it's money driven. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. Even the diet industry, same thing. And they just feed on us. And what's going on now, we're more and more obese, overweight. Even the kids are becoming so morbidly obese. It's really crazy. And then you're the one that's crazy because you're not eating for 16 hours, or God forbid, like longer than 24 hours. Like if I don't even tell people that I don't, go for like 3 days sometimes, because they literally think you have lost your mind. So it really is the society. So I love that you were introduced to fasting like 12 years ago. Like I just started fasting in like 2019. And I would hear it on the internet every so often. I would see people do like OMAD or like intermittent fasting. I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. I'm gonna kill my metabolism. And then as I was reading more into it, I was like, well, clearly all the food I'm eating is not making anything better for my metabolism. So I started fasting, I started losing weight and feeling better. And I wish, like you started like 12 years ago. That's awesome. So it wasn't, starting fasting was never about weight. You never had like weight issues. It was mostly for just health and
Well, initially it was, it was for my physique, because
yeah.
don't get me wrong, I wasn't bodybuilding in competitions or anything, but I was bodybuilding is in to build my body in a specific shape and get
Mhm.
bigger and leaner. And it was, okay, if I do this once a week, just once a week for 16 hours, it can't have that much effect on my muscle, and maybe it can help me lose a little bit fat. And that's what it was for me. And it was a kind of a mental challenge as well,
Mhm.
because when you're so used to eating
Yeah.
16 hours, 16 hours sounds like a very long time. Like
Yeah.
the first time I've done it, 16 hours, you're not
Yeah.
going to have to eat for 16. It does sound like a shock, but obviously once you get into it and understand it, okay, well, you sleep for 8 hours of the day, then you wake up, and then you only got to do another 8 hours or so. But yeah, I done it just to, I was interested. It was kind of to help with my physique. It was only later down the line that when I started to do it a little bit more frequently, when I looked at the other benefits of fasting, like after 16 hours, where you get into your autophagy and your growth hormone spike and all these different things. And I think the more that you learn about something and you kind of understand it, the more you're keen to kind of try it to see if you get those benefits as well, and to see how it feels. And for me, it certainly was that. It's kind of like I ended up bringing it back into my lifestyle because it seemed like it would fit, and it's fit so well. And I functioned so like phenomenally, a lot miles better in every aspect since I've been fasting. So now it's just like I made the decision, probably made the decision around, say, 7 or 8 years ago, that this is going to be my lifestyle for the rest of my life, because I've already been doing it for several years already. So I know it's sustainable. I enjoy doing it. There's tons of benefits to it. And one of the funny things is I've always had since I was very young, is to have I had a goal to live till I'm 111, weirdly,
Love
because
it.
I want to live in 3 different centuries. And it's just a very random thing that I had from such a young age. And it's just like, it's how I've ended up finding fasting. And like, I feel like this is going to be one of the things in my lifestyle that's going to actually help me get to that goal, because I do truly believe that I will be a centurion or centurion
Centurion, yeah, Centurion, I think, yes. Yeah, that would be awesome. And, not just get to that age, but to feel good and still be able to walk and not like be, infested with diseases,
I want to be functional,
yes.
like
mentally,
functional.
well, I agree.
Absolutely.
I'm the same way. For me, it's not as much about weight loss anymore, because I've reached pretty much, I'm close to the goal that I want to be at. But for me now, being in my 40s, is like I want to age backwards. I want to, feel good and look good. I don't want to, age like the majority of Americans or the world. You look at people in their 30s and they're like, they look older than you, and you're like, what are you? But they smoke, they drink, they eat junk, and that ages you. And just eating alone 24/7 has a huge impact on aging too. That whole aging clock. So I'm with you. I mean, like, if you want to do it for weight loss, it is a great tool for weight loss, but there's so many more benefits. That weight loss is like the little tiny benefit, and everything else, like the mindset, I mean, everything with it, it's just it's amazing. So what type of routine are you're in the maintenance, but you're using fasting for longevity and anti-aging and just feeling good? Like, are you utilizing any specific fasting schedule, or do you throw in any longer fast, or what's your month?
Yeah. So for me, and it all depends on my lifestyle. I always say this, and I try and teach it to people: is fit fasting to fit your lifestyle and not the other way around.
Love that.
And lifestyle can mean work or family commitments. It can mean training. It can mean just whatever's going on in life, and you've got to try and fit it in a way that works best. For me, when I'm in my standard normal environment at home, in my normal kind of day-to-day life, I find it easy to go all day. So when I was working like 9 to 5 in IT, I'd get up, maybe I'd go to the gym on the morning, do a little session, go to work all day, 9 to 5, finish at 5 o'clock, maybe spend an hour or two at the gym. Then I'm eating between 7 and 8 o'clock, or between 7 and 9 o'clock. And for me, I find that that's just the best way for me to function. And it's also about the routine as well. It's got to fit. So if I'm trying to do something that's just not fitting with this, it's never going to work, because it's
too restricting. Yeah, you're yes.
Restriction. Yeah, and you just hit the nail on the head there. So I do have kind of like, in my mind, is like, I try and I'll go all day most days. If I do get to a day where I feel like, do you know what it is? Let's say I've been training hard all week. Let's say I've done OMAD all week or whatever. and then it gets to a Saturday or a Sunday, and my body just feels like, do you know what it is? I think we need to eat all day, or feel like we don't need to fast today, then I will, and I will. I don't gorge out on things. I'll eat my standard sort of food that I do eat. But if I feel like I want to eat a little bit more, then I do. If I want to like have multiple meals throughout the day, if I want to have, I listen to my body. But my standard is 20 to 22 hours per day. Every 7 to 10 days, I usually put in a 2-day fast, and that can be, I say 2 days, it can range to like anywhere from 40 hours to 48 hours, a little bit longer, just depending on training and stuff. So, and then, like I say, sometimes I do feel like just putting a 16-hour fast in there, something quite easy. Or if, let's say I'm going to an event, or let's say it's somebody's birthday, or let's say I'm going for a meal this evening. Generally, I would fast all day, but instead of, because I know I'm going for this meal this evening, let's say hypothetically, I will get till probably 2 hours before I go for the food. I'll break my fast with something small, some eggs or something like that, just so that I'm not getting to the meal and I'm so hungry that I'm just going to order everything or anything. I'll also kind of, I know I'm going off a little bit here, but I'll also, if I'm going for a meal or something, I will check out the menu before I go, and I'll kind of know what I'm already going to get. But yeah, for me, standardly is 20 to 22 hours most days, with the odd day off or shorter fasting, and then every week or every 10 days to 2 weeks, I throw in a prolonged fast, which can be 2 or 3 days, or a little bit longer sometimes. Yeah,
that's great. I love that you mentioned the whole like fitting it into your lifestyle. You know, I can't tell, and you're a fasting coach as well. I can't tell you how many clients come to me. It's like, hey, can you be my accountability coach so I can do rolling 72s or 48s? And I'm like, I don't do that. I am not just gonna like tell you to just go and do rolling 72s. For those who don't know what that means, it's like you do a 72-hour fast, you refeed, then you do another 72-hour fast, you refeed, and you just keep going. That doesn't work for everyone. If you want to do that, go ahead and do it on your own. But what I find, and people that do these strict, like, okay, rolling this, rolling that, they don't fit it into their lifestyle, and they end up resenting fasting. They'll fast for like a month or two, rolling 72s or 48s, and then they burn out because they're not going to events. They're not doing this or that because they have to do these strict fasts. That doesn't work. Like, first thing I do with my clients, like, okay, tell me your schedule. What do you do during the week? What's important to you? If having dinner with your husband or your wife is important to you and your kids, we're going to fit that in, because if it fits in your schedule, you're going to be able to do it. And then same thing with like listening to your body. Sometimes, and you know this very much, like when you have a lot of stress in your life, there's a lot going on, it is not a good time to fast, because that cortisol is already high. When cortisol is high, that stress hormone increases your blood glucose, and then you're craving foods, and you're just not feeling good. You're not going to be able to get in ketosis as quickly, and it's just going to be too much of a stress on your body. So listening to your body, fitting into your schedule, is how you can make it work for you, and it's individualized. I'm never going to be like, okay, here's a cookie cutter fasting approach. And I know you're the same way. You don't do that with your clients, because everybody is individual, and they should be treated like an individual.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what I'm curious, because I know we've talked about this before, and I'm curious if you're willing to share some of your mistakes, if I might say, with fasting.
Yeah.
I know, like when you were in Bali and you've traveled, like, sometimes when it can
So
be.
I don't mind sharing. Like, I know we talked about this before, and I'm fairly open about it now, because it's something that's been ongoing for many years. So for me, I smoked marijuana, weed, for a lot of years, and so what was the initial question again? I know we're talking about this,
Yeah,
but
so some of the mistakes with fasting, like
okay.
that, yeah.
So I mean, I wouldn't ever call. I'm one of these people. I don't ever say that something was a mistake or a failure. It's kind of a lesson to me. I kind of implement that part of it. So,
Okay.
um, the kind of experience, let's say, that we're talking about, which I was talking to you recently about, is when I was actually over in Bali. Yeah, I just came back from Bali about a month ago or so, just for context for anybody who's listening, watching. Um, about a month before I came back, I had to do a visa run, and I'd done a visa run to Thailand, and in the past year or so, they legalized
What is
smoking
it
weed.
called? A visa run?
Well, it's just it's kind of just it's not a visa run, but you need to fly somewhere, fly back, so that.
Oh, I see. So
So
you're
yeah,
not.
I'll be more clear. So I had to
Oh,
basically leave the country and come back in, so that my visa on arrival would kind of refresh.
oh,
I
gotcha.
already kind of extended the visa, but you can only extend it once. Then I had to fly somewhere, then fly back. So, anyways, I chose Thailand as the destination to do that. But I also, bearing in mind that I used to have a weed problem. Basically, I smoked marijuana for a lot of years, and probably for around 8 years, maybe a little bit longer, I've tried to stop smoking off and on periods of time. Sometimes I can last 2 weeks. Sometimes it's a little bit longer. Last year was actually the longest that I'd done in a long time, which was over 6 months. And so in my mind, it's like I was going there. I knew there was going to be weed available. I also knew that I had a problem, but I also know that I like to smoke it also. But I'm also this person who has a lot of discipline and has a lot of self-control, and I truly believe that I can do anything that I want to do, including smoking weed when it's smoking weed to kind of when I want to, not just
Mhm.
when let's say the old ego takes over and just wants to smoke it all of the time. I wanted to be able to decide that no, I can take or leave that today.
Mhm.
And so when this kind of opportunity came around to go to Thailand, it was like, okay, you can go enjoy yourself. I'm not gonna feel bad if I do it. I'm actually gonna enjoy it. But it kind of took over a little bit in that week. It got a little bit too much. I fell heavily back into old ways of smoking a lot, like every waking hour. I was waking up in the middle of the night, and like let's say if I had a joint there before I went to sleep or something, if it was there, I would wake up, I would smoke it, and then I go straight back to sleep. And yeah, so that was it. It was quite a testing time for me. And one of the things was I was definitely not ready to be able to just try and have a little bit here and there. I've very much still got a bit of a problem with it. So it was kind of understanding that. But at the same time, what I did let slip and what I didn't, even though I used to smoke weed before, my food is okay, my fasting's okay. I'm very quite disciplined in all of that. But when I went to Thailand and I was smoking and then I wasn't fasting, and the first 2 days I was actually sick, and this kind of knocked me out of kind of my routine, my mindset, and everything. But anyways,
You got like
I
a cold, right? You had like a cold or something. You got, yeah.
I was sick. I believe I ate something wrong, or I was ill on the way from getting to Bali to Bangkok. You know, when you travel, you can just get
Yeah.
sick. And anyways, I ended up just I was eating, I wasn't fasting. I was eating things that I just wouldn't. I don't usually eat, but I was just like ah. And then I give myself an excuse. I'm on holiday. It's okay. And I was like, okay, do you know what it is? I'm gonna enjoy this week. I'm not gonna just smoke, and like get inside my own head and do my own head in and give myself a hard time for it. I thought I'm going to enjoy this week. I know I'm going back to Bali next week where you can't get it. And in my mind, I was like, before I go back to Bali, I'm going to start a long fast, which was a 3-day fast, which I'd done. And that really did help me just kind of had a big reset. And when I got back to Bali and stuff, the first day, the first 24 hours, my head was all over. I was just like, a bit down and just not myself. I wasn't because obviously not training, eating bad foods, and just all these things. And uh, from that first year, the second day, and then the third day. The third day, I was just like, I'm back. I just felt like I was just, I don't know. I felt like it was somebody else for a week.
Yeah.
It was weird. I felt like it was somebody else for a week, and I was like, this is what I prefer. This is me. This is what I
Yeah.
like to be like. And I know now that I'm not going to go and just give myself the opportunity to go and binge out for a week or something, you know. So put
You know,
myself.
it's amazing when, you know, like how much when you're so clean in your body, you know, you're fasting, you're training, you're eating right, how good your body feels. And when you put junk, and I'm not just saying like weed or whatever, you know, could be alcohol, could be, you know, different foods, fried food, you know, when you put that stuff in your body and you see the difference, how bad you feel, I mean, you realize like, I don't want to feel like that ever again, you know, like, yes, I can have a little bit here and there, or splurge. And that kind of brings me to a topic on, you know, like when people say you can, you know, have a little bit here, a little bit there. For some people, you can't. Like, it's like, like people that are addicted to like sweets, sugar, and they're like, I just can't, like, I know there's a lot of like food freedom people, and I get it. Like, I'm all about food freedom if you can control it. But some people cannot do sugar. Like when they start eating sugar, it puts them in this, you know, in another level, and they just can't stop eating it. And to me, I explain it, you know, a lot of times my clients, I say like, you know, moderation. You're not going to cheat on your husband in moderation. You're not going to cheat on your girlfriend in moderation. Like when you know something is bad for you, you're not going to do it in moderation. If you do heroin in moderation, you know it's not good for you. So, like, I get the whole food freedom people out there. I get it. But some people can't moderate. Mm-hmm. For some people, they cannot, like, for some people, alcohol. If you're an alcoholic, you can't moderate alcohol. And same thing with certain foods. Like there, you know, like I have a client that her trigger, and this is, you know, kind of crazy, but I know a lot of people have that trigger. Peanut butter is her trigger. Like it's not a bad food, but for her, it is a trigger. So there's no moderation. Like, you know, yeah, you can just have a tablespoon. She can't. She will eat the whole jar. So that kind of brings me another topic of like, you know, what are your thoughts on like, you know, you hear a lot of people with the whole food freedom, and you should be able to feel good about eating whatever you want. And
Well,
you know,
I agree, and I also agree with what you're saying there. This for me, people say there's no good food and there's no bad food. For me, if a food's making me feel bad, then I'm sorry, but it's bad. And if it's doing things, causing inflammation, if it's doing things to my body, that's making me, that's actually giving me disease, that's actually making me sick. And don't get me wrong, when you're having one thing here, one thing there, but if it's all of these little things built up over a lifetime, it can slowly make you sick. So I am about that, and I believe that yes, I know in moderation. It's a difficult one because moderation for me, how many times do I go to a pizza shop? Well, I can have it in moderation. I don't have it once a week. I have it once every 6 months or once every year or so. I came home and I had shared a pizza with my mother the other week, and I was like, it's actually a really good pizza shop. It's called Harbour Pizza, by the way. But I was like, I'm not a Harbour Pizza in like it must be at least nearly a year. That for me is my moderation, but it's kind of a difficult one, and I think it depends on the person as well. And like you say, an alcoholic can't just have one little drink. Somebody like me and who maybe has a problem with weed can't just have one little smoke. It's going to be more than one little smoke. There is that, but then there's this deep, strong feeling inside me that I can do anything that I want, and like we just talked about, that I'm in control and I want to be in control. And I truly believe that I can get to a point where I can have the weed in that cupboard and I don't have to even think about it, and I don't have to have it every day and have it once a week or once every 2 weeks. I truly believe I can get to that point, but I know it's going to be hard. And same for other people, for what point you're trying to get to, it might be hard for you. And sometimes it is just easier to say, let's not do it at all. Let's not have it. And again, and I can only speak from my experiences, I can choose never to have it, but there's certain things that I would still like to have. Alcohol, I used to drink a lot. I used to drink 4 or 5 times a week. I used to drink like quite a bit when I was younger. And if one of the guys said, do you want to go for a pint? We'd kind of go for a pint. You'd have 2 pints. And before you know it, I'm out I'm out for a weekend or something like that. This was like 10 years ago, or probably actually longer. Now I don't even have that same feeling again. Like if I don't even have a pint, like I don't go just for 1 pint or anything. If I did, I could have that 1 pint and I could literally just, it wouldn't bother me a little bit just to have 1 pint and leave it. Or I can actually sit there with the lads. They can all be drinking and I can have a soda water and it doesn't bother me anymore. So I've always went back to that in my head, is like, well, no, you can't. You've done it with other things. You can do it with this. This might just be a bit harder, but I don't think there's just a one size fits all approach. Really, it's not just it's not just, or have a little bit, or it's not just moderation, or it's not just you can't have it. I think everybody's unique in their own unique circumstances with whatever it is, whether it's sugar, whether it's peanut butter, whether it's heroin, or whatever it is.
And it really is individualized. I think, for some people, yes, if you can have, some peanut butter and then, or even eat a little bit too much and then you're done with it, that's fine, but for some people, they know they can't, at least at the moment. There might be a time that they build up that strength, that mental strength, when they're like, yeah, I can, I've lost enough weight. I feel good about myself. Yeah, I know that I can have that, or I can have that glass of wine and not feel guilty about it. But, like for me, like for what alcohol, it wasn't like drinking 2 glasses of wine. It was cravings, like having cravings for like fried foods, salty foods. That was the issue for me. And so I decided, for the time being, I don't want to drink. It created so much, issues for me, like, gaining weight every time I drank over the weekend. You come back and you're like 5 pounds heavier, and you're like, what, I did so good all week. And then on the weekend I had, wine, and then I ate pizza all weekend because I was craving carbs, and it just wasn't worth it. So I think you have to figure out what it is for you individually, and decide, do I want to just restrict this for the rest of your life? Like, for instance, like people that stop smoking cigarettes, how come like somebody that the cigarette gives them so much pleasure, they can't stop smoking, but for another person it creates so much pain, like they literally would throw up. Like I couldn't smoke a cigarette, it would make me puke. So it's also how you associate that pain, pleasure in your brain with that particular item in your life. If it creates enough pain for you, it might be something that you just like, I'm done. I don't want to, that peanut butter that always, puts me in a binge mode. I mean, maybe that's enough pain that you just don't want to, it's just not worth it for you.
And that's a good thing that you've just mentioned there. And it comes from who does it come from? I heard this from somebody before. It's like when you're trying to get rid of something, or you're trying to not do something, assign pain to it. If you're trying to stop this, assign as much pain as possible to this, and then in stopping doing that, in not having that, I don't know, I'm holding up, but you assign pleasure to the other side of it. So what pleasure am I going to get out of not having that? And I feel that can be a kind of a good way to try and
and same thing with like even like working out. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I hate working out, I hate doing this. Well, when you assign pleasure to going for a walk associated with something positive, like listening to a podcast, maybe this podcast or like another motivational podcast while you're walking, and treating it as self-care, then maybe that pain of like, oh, I gotta go work out maybe you can flip it so you can use it in every area of your life, like dating. I mean, for a lot of people, dating is painful. You're like, oh my God, another date, right? Or like, oh, who's this gonna be? But when you turn it around and you're like, well, you know what? I'm gonna go and have fun. I'm gonna go, do different activities and just do fun things. You can turn it into a fun thing. It doesn't have to be a painful experience. It's you assign everything in life we assign meaning to. And we have to remember that it is your specific meaning that you assign to particular things in life. But anyway, so another topic that I really, we chatted about this before, another topic that I really wanted to discuss with you that, I've struggled with in the past, and I know a lot of people struggle with this also. And I know you have, I mean, I think everybody does, but that feeling of just being stuck or just being in that funk, we all go through those stages of kind of getting in that funk. And like, how do you do you have any tips for people to help them get out of this funk? That whether it's with weight loss or just work, career, just life in general, we all have those ups and downs. Like, do you have any tips for people out there to help them get through?
I made a few notes on kind of how sometimes approaching it a little bit differently, and like I said, different circumstances and stuff. But for me, it's like I'm going to go through a few things. So the first thing is don't wait till, so if you, I don't know, let's say you're trying to fast, or you've been fasting, but then you fell off the wagon or whatever, or you keep going on. Don't wait until Monday to start again. So let's say today, okay, I'm going to do this fast. And then it gets to this afternoon and I don't know, somebody comes in the office and I just couldn't resist that cake. I've had it. Okay, I've done it now. I'm not going to wait until Monday. So that's another, 4 days or something, whatever it is, 5 days. I understand that I've just done that. Tomorrow is a new day, and tomorrow I'll start again. Tomorrow I'll start again. And that was, for me, was the first, this was many years ago, of getting into the fasting and trying to make it my lifestyle. And I was like, I'll just start again tomorrow. It wasn't Monday, whereas before it was like, oh, I'm just going to start again on Monday. And I'll spend the next 4 days just binging out. Routine is having a good routine. Having a good routine to kind of get you in a good place, or to get you to be doing the things that you want to be doing. It's probably one of the most important things that I could advise, is to have a routine. And if you don't have one, you've got to create one. And that means creating a good morning routine, and trying to create a good evening routine can also help.
Yes.
The morning routine. And if it's hard to get in the morning routine, choose something very simple to do. So like, let's say if I'll take you back to when I was practicing yoga and I was off the mat for a good amount of time, and I want to get back into yoga, but the thought of doing an hour or an hour and a half is just like, I don't want to do that. And so I put my yoga mat out in front of my bed on the night. When I wake up in the morning, I tell myself I'm doing 5 minutes. I do 5 minutes. 5 minutes will turn into 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 15. Before you know it, you're into it. If you're trying to get a thing, if you were trying to go to the gym, let's say, don't think about, oh, what am I going to train? I've got to do this. I've got to do that. I've got to do this. I need to be able to lift this. Get ready. Go and get yourself inside of the gym. That is the first thing. And even if you can't be bothered and you're tired, just go and do something very easy. And it's the kind of getting you into that routine, getting you into doing something. And then once you start doing these things, once you create this little morning routine, it just gives, once you're ticking these things off, it just gives you a sense of like accomplishment. It gives you a sense of, oh, I've done that, can do this. Having a good routine, especially a morning routine, is just going to set you up for the rest of the day. It's going to set you up for success. If you're just waking up on a morning and just think you're going to wing it, before you know it, before you wake up, like, I want to do this and do this. Before you know it, you're at your phone, you scroll this, that, and the other. It's went an hour and a half later. You haven't get into the gym. You haven't get into your morning routine, and then it's just like, oh, it's just another day. Well, I'll start tomorrow. Routine is up there with the probably the top level thing that I would see it to have.
Can you share your morning routine? Like, do you have a particular routine that you do in the morning?
Yeah, my morning routine is get up straight away. Like, don't be snoozing alarm clocks. If you're a snoozer, put your phone over in the
When
corner
you
of the
have to
room.
get up, yeah.
To get up. Just get up, and for me, it's simply I will do just like some movement, just shoulder rotations in and out and down. I do some squats. I'll sit in a yogic squat for a minute or two, and then I'll have a shower, brush my teeth, and then I'll go and have some water. Have my water before my coffee. Hydrate before you caffeinate,
Yes.
and then I'll take the dog for a little walk, and then I go to the gym, and that for me is my morning routine. Back when I was in Bali, it looked a little bit different, but I had to set that morning routine. So back when I was in Bali, it was get up, do the movement, the shower, and those sort of things. Then I go to the gym. I would do some breath work. Then I would do some journaling, which I only started doing this year, and it's like so good, by the way. Do some journaling, and then before that, that's a couple of hours done in the morning, and I'm just in such a good place mentally, like, and you can just decide to do better. You know, if you're having a negative morning, it's so easy to just have the rest of a negative day. So if you just set yourself up with a positive morning, it's so easy to have a positive rest of your day. Sometimes, sorry, I had another point that I did just want to touch on is just sometimes we do just need to allow it. So if you just feeling at a point where, do you know what it is? I do need to have a couple of days where I'm not doing anything. Maybe I'm not speaking to anybody. I'm taking some time for myself. I'm going to watch some shit on telly. I'm going to eat some crap. Sometimes you do need to allow it, but I also understand. I also have a conscious thought of that I'm not just doing this when I'm wanting to be lazy or whatever. It's like, nah, I really feel like I need a couple of down days or something like that, you know? But just be conscious of it. Don't let it turn into a habit. Don't just be like, oh, well, every week I'm having this, like, I'm just gonna, you know what I mean? Just be conscious of it, but also understand that you're just human, and you do need to just sometimes switch off from everything and just allow it a little bit down time. I've got a few other things as well, but I don't know if did you have another question to ask
No,
me?
no, those are really good points. Well, first of all, like, I love that you journal. Like, I love like seeing man journal. Like, I think journaling is so healing. It's so hard to get people to journal sometimes. I'm like, I promise you, just, well, I don't know what to write. You just write what's on your mind. Whatever it is, whether it's in the morning, write what you're gonna do during the day, write a plan, or whatever it is that you want to, you can write affirmations. I am enough. I am whatever it is. Like, I do need to get in a more regular habit of journaling, because I'll do it like in the evening sometimes, but I want to start doing it like every morning, because it's like you're allowing those thoughts, you putting them on the paper. There's something magical about that. How did you get into journaling? Is that something you just picked up?
So it was again when I went to Bali, just for context, guys, I spent 3 months in Bali, and I've been home for just over a month. But when I went there, it was to actually focus on myself, for self-development, to improve training, to just improve my knowledge on fasting and stuff, just to better myself all around, really. And one of the things I wanted to do is to start doing bits of journaling and start writing, because I worked on a computer for so many years that one of the things I told myself was, I'm not good at writing. I can't write properly, so I didn't. And now I kind of try to switch that around. It's like, no, well, I'm going to do the things that are a little bit uncomfortable. But one of the main things was I bought another journal, which was it's called Project 369.
Oh yeah, I know that. Yeah, that's a great, yes.
It's like kind of a journal book. So you're reading half of it, and it explains a lot about universal laws and stuff, and numbers and all these kind of things, affirmations, and it's quite a spiritual book. But and then it's got parts where you journal. So again, doing some affirmations, writing who are you, who do you want to become, what actions are you going to take to get there, and all these kind of things. And I just made a commitment every day, was I'm going to fill this out every day. you could, it's said in the journal to do it morning, afternoon, and night, but only do it as you feel. And so I chose the mornings because it fit with me to do it then. And I also have this as well. So this is one of my what I created from a business, what I give to clients. So I took
Fasting 101. Oh, I love that. That's a nice big book.
So okay. I created these last year for my one-to-one clients, and it's kind of a tracking log, but also there is space to write in there. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah. So explain. I can't really see. Yeah, I love it. It's got.
Yeah. So it's. I'll talk over it anyway. So I had that journal and I had this one. I was like, okay, I'm getting my clients to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be my own client, basically. And then it was just one of the things that I fit in. And when I started doing it, after the first 2 days, I was like, I actually really enjoy getting my book out and writing these things. And it's some of it's where you can journal and talk about what you want to join, but it's like, what did you eat today? So you list everything you eat, the hours that you fasted, your eating window, your hunger meter, so how hungry you were, the sleeping time that you went to sleep and woke up, sleep, energy levels, mood, and that sort of thing. Then there's a thing for tracking, but there's also this today's comments, and this is where I was getting into it. Is I kind of like, oh, I feel like this, and I'm trying, and just basically thinking in my head, but like kind of just writing as I go. I think, and I don't think there's any there's no right or wrong way that you should be journaling. I think just start, just pick up a pen and paper, and maybe just write some thoughts. You could write a goal, or it could just be what you've done, how you feel, or you know what I mean. And I got into that when I was over there.
And that is a great way too for someone that like doesn't really know how to journal, like picking up something like that, and just having like a guided journaling book where you're like, it asks you, has the prompts like, how did you feel today? What did you eat? What you fast? And it brings you back to the day, and you can kind of like look back and what you did, like what did you do good today? What is one thing that, brought you joy? Like, and yeah, those are great. So if anyone, will link your journal as well. Is it on Amazon? Do you sell it on Amazon?
It's actually not for sale or anything at the minute.
Oh, okay.
I got a bunch created just for one-to-one clients. Gotcha. And it's something that I give them is to work with them. But one of the tasks is to redo this, because I've got, since doing it, I've got more things that I want to add in it, and for it to become a bit more journally. But yeah, they're not for sale at the minute, but maybe like later on this year, once I've kind of getting to that point. Yeah, I hope I look to have these published, and I would also like to publish 2 books. One's a recipe book, and one would be just a book on fasting. So yeah, but one step at a time. Yeah, but definitely.
You're gonna have to let us know when that comes out.
I will do, and obviously this podcast is going to be up for forever now. So maybe later on down the line there will be a link just down below to be able to buy this. Yeah,
that's awesome. Love it. So what else? What other tips do you have for people that are just kind of feel in that funk, feeling stuck? I love the tips that you've given so far. That morning routine, it's crucial, and you don't just do that when you feel good. It's something you create every morning, and you do it. And like you said, it doesn't have to be a lot. It could be just 5 minutes out of your day. It could be 5 minutes writing 3 things you're grateful for. Whatever it is specific, you can start with something small. You don't have to like, my morning routine now, it's like longer. It's probably 30 minutes, sometimes an hour if I have more time, because I love it. It sets my day for success. My evening routine is not as good. Sometimes I'm like, but on my phone, and then I gotta go to bed. So I want to create more of a like, get off the phone an hour before, and because that's important too. The longer you're on that phone scrolling to social media, looking at stuff, the more your brain will be awake, and then it's going to be hard for you to fall asleep, or if you're watching TV super late at night. But yes, I also agree. Sometimes you just need those days to just I had a day like that last week, and I was just in a funk. I was like, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go work out. And I literally just laid on the couch and watched TV. But I told myself that day, I made a contract myself. I'm giving myself permission to do that today. Tomorrow, I'm getting up, going for a walk. I'm getting out of the funk. I'm okay sitting in this dirty diaper for today. I call it the dirty diaper. But tomorrow that diaper's got to come off and you going. You don't want to get in this like mode of like, okay, I feel bad. I'm going to give my permission to just do nothing. Next thing you know, it's like a week later and you're still in this funk. So, there's like a balance with that as well.
There is absolutely. Definitely got to be conscious of that. And I've literally like wrote it here, like this is the same thing. I'll allow it, but I know that it's not. This isn't happening all the time. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I got a few more points, and I'll try and touch on them a bit more quicker. So the first one is my why. So remember the reason why you're doing what you're trying to do. If you find yourself in a funk, you're stuck in a rut or something like that, take yourself back to the reason why you started, or the reason why you're doing what it is you're doing to make yourself feel better. And I know my why, I know my reason, and I know that, like I talked about earlier, that I made a decision a long time ago to make this my lifestyle. So I knew this was going to last for the rest of my life. So I know that, like, even if I have a little dip in the road, let's say, I know I'm getting straight back on it because I already made that decision all those years ago to do this, and I'm by my word. I'm doing this. I told myself I'd do it. I'll do it. So just remembering your why. Have a rule. You could have set a rule for yourself. So for me, mine could before it was like if I find it, and it could be if you're on holiday or wherever. Let's say you have 3 days. Like in my mind, it's like 2 or 3 days. If I haven't fasted that day, or if I have a day off, let's say I have a day off on the Saturday, but it ends up falling into the Sunday because of whatever. There's an event or something. Monday, okay, right, 3 days, I'm doing a full day fast. So I'll do a full day fast and then I have one meal, which is like the OMAD. And that for me just helps us just a little reset. And it's like, because that one day can be 2 days, 3 days. 3 days turns into 5 days. 5 days turns into a week. A week turns into 2 weeks. And before you know it, you're completely you completely changed.
The next thing you know, it's like a year later and I'm 50 pounds heavier. And you're like, what happened? Yeah.
So have a rule in place. And even if you don't, like, honestly, you're going to have to bring in some discipline here as well. And this is the next part of the next point is discipline. You can't let it, you've got to draw the line somewhere. And that's the way I look at it. Got to draw the line somewhere. I don't want to let this turn into something else. And so for 3 days, I will do a full day of fasting, which will be, it'll be probably 22, 23 hours. And then I'll have one meal. And then that it kind of brings in that I've given myself discipline again. I've done it. So I'm like, okay, I've just done it. Tomorrow, I know I can get back to doing it how I normally do it. If I find that, and this did happen recently as well, when I came back from Bali, and I fell into a bit of a rut, and I went through all of this here in my mind, and I went round in a circle probably twice. And I wasn't expecting this, to be totally honest with you. But I felt like I was going around in a circle. So again, I brought discipline into it, and I said, you know what it is? I'm going to have to do a longer fast. So what I will actually do is just suck it up and say, you're doing a 2 or 3 day fast. Same as when I left Thailand. I was like, you're just doing this 3 day fast. I know how good you're going to feel after it. I've done those 3 days, and I just felt like I'd do anything again. So sometimes you might not want to do it. Just sometimes have a bit of discipline and know that, okay, maybe after just doing a bit of discipline, doing the hard stuff for a day or two, then it just becomes easy again. It becomes easy again. The last one I've got here is environment. A change in environment, and that could be where you are, it could be the people that you're surrounding yourself with. If you're trying to live a healthy lifestyle, you're trying to get into the gym and stuff, but you're still going down to the pub on a Thursday night, on a Friday night, and on a Saturday and Sunday afternoon, and you're around an environment where people are drinking and people are doing this, it's going to be so hard for you to kind of to make those changes. So a change in environment that can be a good thing, but again, it can also be a bad thing as well. So sometimes in a change in environment changes up the routine, changes up the lifestyle, and before you know it, you can just be doing whatever it is. But sometimes I do find that environment, certainly for me, with a weed situation, was my environment in Bali. There's no weed. I'm surrounded by coaches, people in the health and wellness, and all this stuff. So the environment for me just made it very easy. You're not gonna. It's gonna be hard to have live a healthy lifestyle if you let's say if you're working in a pub. It's a bit harder. Whereas if you're working in a gym, maybe it's a bit more easier for you. So sometimes environment, a change in environment, and like I say, that can be places or people or both. So you could have a change in environment to just help, you know. And I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it in terms of like how I try and get myself out of a rut.
Those are great points. And you know, for you, like coming back from Bali back to UK, I mean, that's a huge change. You coming from being around all these health nuts, calisthenics, like, you know, beautiful weather to going back to UK. I don't know, like yes, like, and you're not surrounded, you know, as much by what you were surrounded in Bali, you know, maybe more rain, less sun, and you know, all those things. I mean, change is hard, even if it's just, you know, moving from place to place, or so sometimes you just have to give yourself a little grace and just let it be, and it's just trust that you're gonna be fine, and don't just let it just throw you down and not help you get up. So I love those are really great points. Thank you for sharing that. We were discussing a little bit about your fasting 101. Do you have an app, right? You have a fasting app. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Fasting 101 is my app, it's my business. And I was creating this all of last year. And how it came about is I've only been coaching people for just over a year now. I haven't done a whole lot of it. And when I did start to coach people, when I first started coaching people, it was mainly just helping them, answering questions, giving them bits of advice, just talking to people, really, friends and family. And then I started to take on a couple of paying clients. And then after that, I was just like, I've actually been searching for my calling for quite some time, trying different businesses alongside work. When I had that first paid client customer, I was just like, wow, I've been able to provide fasting and like just information and talk about something that I love talking about, and I've just helped somebody and I got paid for it. That for me, I was just like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And then I was like, well, I need to publish all of this information. So all the information I'm giving to people, all of the content. And then I was like well, people need to eat. So the other side of fasting is the food. People do need to eat. And I love to cook. I absolutely love to cook. And then when I get an idea, I kind of go with it. And I just said, you know what it is? I'm going to create an app. And I had the name of Fasting 101. And I was like, okay, maybe it's going to be I'm going to create a 101-day program. So Fasting 101 is a 101-day food and fasting program. Throughout the program, you'll start with a very easy method of a 12-hour fast. By day 101, you'll be fasting from anywhere from 20 to 24 hours. Throughout the course, the 101 days, you learn a little bit more about fasting each week. So it's broken down week by week. So week 1, you'll get a learning section where you'll learn a couple of different methods about fasting, some benefits, some of the science. And then week 2, you'll learn a little bit more and a little bit more as you go down. And then as you kind of change the methods up, so let's say we're doing 12 and 16-hour fasts here. As you get further down the course, let's say weeks 10 and 11, where weeks 5 to 6 and then 11 to 15, where you start to implement the 18 and the 20. So you'll learn about those bits throughout. But you also get shopping lists. So there's a food plan as well. You get shopping lists. You get a week's worth of meals and recipes and videos to be able to cook those meals. And then there's various options of where you can track on the app. So you can track all these different things that I talked about in my journal. Body
like your
composition,
fasting time and like your weight,
yeah,
stuff like that too.
all those kind of things. So the initial first part of Fasting 101 is a 101-day food and fasting program to basically take somebody who's never done fasting before in their life, somebody who's very beginner, takes them from very novice to kind of an intermediate level that you'll know all about, or everything you need to know about intermittent fasting that you need to know to be able to continue this on into your lifestyle as well. And this is another thing that I say, it's not a diet plan. It's not a get my app and get the diet plan. It's a lifestyle. What I'm trying to just teach is a lifestyle, and it's just my food. I don't eat processed foods. I cook from scratch. So yeah, it's everything that I know about in fasting and kind of what I do in terms of how I eat and stuff, all in one app. To take
So is it like a self-paced app? Like that's different from your one-on-one coaching, right?
So the app is the one-on-one. So I use the app alongside my coaching. So we'll use the app as kind of a base point to go on. So they've got the meals, they've got the food, they've got all the information about fasting. But my one-to-one service is I work with them every day. I speak to them every day. I check in with them every day. They fill out this journal every day, and they send a picture of this over on a WhatsApp group between me and the client, and also pictures of their food so I can understand how much food they're eating. And if we need to custom change the plan, we will. Again, I fit it to fit their lifestyle, and so we'll kind of, this is a base to go off, see how this works. But if it's not working, I'll know where it's not working because I can see, and I know by the feedback. And it's just, again, by how to fit it into their lifestyle, accountability, and just being there to kind of just be there anytime.
Support them, yeah, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Because especially when you're new to fasting, there's so many, I remember like I had so many questions, like, and I had to Google and search, and you don't always find, legit information out there. So like knowing someone that has done it for 12 years and understands not just the fasting, but the process behind it and how to do it safely, because some people do it quite unsafely, and it can, have the negative effect on your body if you're not doing it the right way, you're not refeeding the right way, and you putting in junk every time you refeed. That can actually spiral you into more of a binging. And I've seen that. I'm sure you see this too a lot, the fast hard, binge hard. Like that's like one of the most common things that I've seen. And like I used to do that myself, actually, till I've got a hold of, my mindset and the reason behind, like, why am I doing this? What is the deeper meaning behind this way of eating, living? This is not a temporary diet. And a lot of people use it as a quick fix to lose weight. And oftentimes it doesn't, it works initially, but it doesn't in the long run.
And this is the thing, and this is why I teach it as a lifestyle. And not just a quick fix, is because and again, it is a mistake that people make with it, because you don't just go into the gym and start picking up the 50-kilo dumbbells, do you, and start training. You work through it. And
you don't? What? I do. I take the 100 ones, like boom.
You know what I mean? So
yes.
like when you first join the gym, you don't just go start running tons of miles or lifting loads of weight. You start somewhere, and you kind of, otherwise, if you go into the gym and you beast yourself all week for the first week, after that week, you're going to be like, don't want to do that again. You give it a bad name. And I think people who implement fasting into their life and they don't do it properly, they give it a bad name, because they'll say, oh, well, I tried that fast and I've done this, this, and this, and it doesn't work. And it's like, well, hold on a second. How did you try it? How doesn't it work? And it's like, well, this is, and I'm like, well, I'll prompt them with a few questions, and I'm like, oh, well, did you do this? Did you understand? Oh, well, I'm like, see, if you just
Mhm.
understand that it is kind of a process, and just because I'm talking about that I've done a 2 day fast or a 3 day fast, doesn't mean
Mhm.
to say that I'm saying the same for you. I think, and this is a thing, like this is something I talk a lot of the time when I'm in the sauna to people. This is where I have conversations about it. Mostly because
Yeah.
half the time I don't initiate it. Somebody will walk in and they'll say, Jason, what have you had to eat today? Or how many hours have you fasted today? And then I'll just start talking about it, talking about it. But sorry, I just completely lost myself there.
I don't know. Sauna talks about fasting and how people,
Yeah. Oh
uh,
yeah.
yeah.
And so I'll be saying like, oh, I've just finished a 2 day fast or a 3 day fast. And people's like, oh, I could never do that. I could never fast. I could never like I love food
Yes.
this much and I've got to do and I'm like, hold on a second. I'm like, I've been doing this. Hold on. I didn't once say for anybody to go and start doing 2 day fast or even 24-hour fast. I don't tell people to do that. Say, look, it took me a lot of years to get to where I am. And when I first started, I was doing 16-8 for
Mhm.
about 4 years before I moved on to anything else. And I like, just because I do it and I'm explaining this doesn't mean you do it. I say, like, look, I've been training, I've been practicing this for a lot of years, and this is how it's
Yes.
easy for me to do it. And it's just a process like anything. And I understand that now. I'm not a person who just expects it straight away. And so I won't just be like I don't tell people just go and do a 2 or 3 day fast or go and jump in it because in my mind I know that's going to be hard for them. They've never done it before, and then the
Yes.
next time it comes to wanting to do it, they're going to have a bit resistance to wanting to do that.
Mhm.
Now, if you can get somebody who's get them into it, comfortably doing 16 to 20 hours, they're doing that no problem, and they've managed to do that consistently for a couple of months now. Okay, now you know that you're okay with that and you've implemented that, that's become your lifestyle. Maybe you might want to push it once a week or once every couple of weeks or even once a
Yeah.
month where you do want to push it past the 24-hour mark because that's kind of the next step, which I'm sure you're aware of, is like it's good doing nomad and stuff, but for me, the actually stronger mindset comes in is getting past that initial 24-hour mark, went to bed, I've woke up the next
Mhm.
day and I'm now around 36 hours and I'm like, I've done it. And now
Yeah.
all I've got to do now is I've just got to go till this evening and I've done 48 hours. Um, but yeah, I would certainly, this is why I kind of started with a very easy method and even just taking them still to 20 to 24 hours by the end of it so that they could take in all of that. They could implement it into their life. They could make it their lifestyle. And then when they're ready, yes, when you're ready, maybe you do want to try and push it a little bit more.
Yeah. Fasting is a muscle. It's just like you made the analogy with going to the gym and grabbing a 50-pound dumbbell. Like you can't do that. You know what I mean? Or if you do, if you can even lift it, you're gonna be sore and feel like crap the next day. So, start off with 10 pounds or 15 pounds. Same thing with fasting. You just start off slow because it is that mindset. You got to get over that hump in your mind because your mind is gonna resist it. And like your sauna friend said, oh no, man, I couldn't do it. I love food too much. Like we don't love food. We love food too. It's like I always laughed. Oh no, I love food too much. I'm like, because I don't. Like, of course I love food too, but I'm doing it for deeper reasons. There's a deeper why behind it. It's a longevity. Every spring, summer, winter, fall, I fast. I do a 3 to 5 day fast. That's like my reset before each season. And
Yeah.
that's something that I do. And most people won't understand it, but I do it for the health, the anti-cancer, all the benefits. I don't want cancer cells. Everybody has cancer cells supposedly in your body. I don't want them to grow. I want to prevent the growth before it starts. So, there again, what is your why behind it? So great points. So where can people find you and your app? Is the app a subscription? Is it only
Yeah.
for one-on-one clients, or can someone
No,
that's not a
no,
client subscribe?
absolutely. So I made this for anybody. I wanted to just so my mission is it was to help. over 1 billion people with food and fasting. Now it's an infinite number. So I created this to put on the app stores. I created it for everybody. So you just go onto your app store, whether it's the Google Play Store for Android or for the
Apple iTunes.
Apple iTunes, or Apple App Store, whatever it's called these days.
Yes.
You can find it on there. You can find me on Instagram as the fasting coach with underscores in between. There's also a link to my website in my bio, which is just fasting101.app. But yeah, it's £2.99 subscription. No kind, you're not locked in or anything. So you
What
can,
is it? $2.99?
£2.99, so it's around $2.99.
Yeah, that's super cheap. Yeah, that's great.
And you're not tied into anything. You can download it and then cancel it the next month. So it's and I also just updated my coaching service as well on my website, fasting101.app. So you can head over there if you'd like to check them out. And if you've got any questions, comments, suggestions, or you just want to connect with me, the fasting coach on Instagram, I'd love to connect with any of you guys.
Awesome. I will link all the info in the description, your Instagram, and then from the Instagram is it the easiest way to message you on Instagram?
Yeah. I'm quite active on Instagram. It's the best way to kind of. Yeah.
So before we go, like, this is the question I asked to all my guests. I love this question, and the question is, what are 3 things you wish you had known sooner about, anything in your life, relationships, health, fasting, life, success, whatever it is.
3 things. One of the things, and it's not fast, it's expectations. A lot of the times we expect the same of people as what we expect ourselves, but we've got to understand that other people aren't us, and you're not always going to get what you would give if you were on the other side, if that makes sense.
Love it. Yes.
Just because you would do that in that situation doesn't mean that other person, you shouldn't judge them for it. So there's 1. 2, I wish I didn't say that. You don't have to eat 5 meals a day to keep your metabolism going.
Good one. Yes. I wish I knew that in my 20s. I wish. Yes. You don't have to eat 5 meals a day to keep your metabolism going. Fasting short term does not drop your metabolism. It does not kill your metabolism like a lot of people out there believe. Yes.
And the third one, I think. The third one, which it goes back to the calisthenics stuff, is that does it? I'm just thinking, I wish I knew, or I wish I tried. Body weight is body weight exercises are a lot more difficult than you think. And if you're thinking of getting into some sort of fitness, maybe try body weight first, or calisthenics or something. Because I've done gym for a lot of years, and I used to think lifting heavy weights was hard.
Yes.
Go and try do some.
Yes.
Or you can also check out my other page, which is Calisthenics Genetics, which is on my.
Is that what your T-shirt is? Cali G.
Cali G, yeah.
Calisthenic Genetics.
Yeah, so Cali G relates to Calisthenics Genetics, which is
my. Speaking of calisthenics, for those who don't know, like, so it's body weight. Like, I've seen you do some crazy stuff. Like, I mean, even like headstand push-ups and stuff like that. I mean, like, though it's so hard. Of course, you don't have to do that kind of extreme, but like, explain a little bit about, like, what are calisthenics for those who don't know.
So calisthenics, it's a Greek word, and it means strength and beauty, or beauty and strength, and it's basically just body weight. So it could just be pull-ups, push-ups, dips, squats. But then there's other aspects to calisthenics, whereas you've got static movements, which are static holds, which is like handstand, lever, planche, kind of these things that we take from kind of gymnastics. Then you've got dynamic calisthenics, where they're kind of like incorporating some of the static stuff, but they're flipping around bars and doing all kind of crazy stuff where it's very, very dynamic. And then you've got another aspect of calisthenics, which is flow. Flow, if I'm pronouncing that right.
What is it? What is it?
Flow. Flow. Flow.
Oh, flow.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's kind of like where they've got like 3 parallel bars and they'll just do all kinds of stuff, just spin it, like literally spinning around on the bars, going around them and doing all sorts of stuff. So there's various different aspects to calisthenics, but it's just body weight really, and it's beauty and strength.
And a lot of core strength too, like utilizing all core muscles, like
lots of core, lots of
and
core
stretching. Does it? I mean, involve stretching it as well, or
yes. So I would say so. So I even class. I practice Ashtanga yoga as well. I class that as calisthenics because there's a lot of stretching and there's mobility. There's all kinds of things, but it's all part of the same thing for me. So the stretching, the mobility, and everything is still part of the calisthenics because I need to be able to do that stuff to be able to do this stuff. I don't kind of say one is one and one is the other. Overall, for me, it's the calisthenics. It's the way I train. It's using my body weight really. Yeah.
Not to get off the subject really, but since you brought up this third point of calisthenics, do you believe that calisthenics and like, yoga, stretching, do you believe that that's something that's also a big key in like longevity, keeping your body mobile and flexible? I know we talked to Joseph, your friend Joseph, David Joseph. Was it Joseph David? Oh my gosh, David Joseph.
Yeah, he's massive on mobility, and it's longevity. At the end of the day, is like we said earlier, longevity. We want to live a long life, but we still want to be functioning. We still want to be
flexible, moving. Joints.
Absolutely. So that is also it's part of it. I'm just lost myself a little bit there.
You got it. No, I do think, because longevity, I do think that that's a big part of incorporating it with the fasting, whole foods, flexibility, like keeping your body mobile, your joints, and preventing injury. Because back in the bodybuilding days, we're like hammering up, like squat, like doing certain things that actually shorten your muscle, make you less flexible. I mean, you see a typical bodybuilder, they can't even put their arms behind their back because they're so inflexible. And I mean, you look ripped, you would think that you're somebody that is lifting a lot, but you have a really lean, flexible physique, and I've seen your abs too. You guys can see his abs on his account, but yeah, I love it. Well, Jason, thank you so much. It's been amazing chatting with you. I know that people listening to this will get a lot out of it. I love seeing, young people like yourself doing fasting for other reasons than just weight loss, reasons beyond the weight loss and longevity, health, and all those amazing benefits that we can gain from fasting without giving it the bad name, like, starvation or whatever. So I appreciate you coming on. Enjoy chatting with you, and we'll have to do that again soon. Definitely. I will link everything in the description, and you guys can message him if you have any questions on Instagram. Definitely follow him on Instagram, and
Awesome. Thank you very much, Monica.
Thank you, Jason.